by creating earthquakes, another diabolical feature would be added to stir up the imagination and increase panic hysteria of the Japanese people. Also, the knowledge of the presence of these scientists at Manila and Okinawa, slipped into Japan proper by our agents in China, would not only give credence to such a diabolical plan among the mass of Japan, but would act as a challenge to Japan's scientists. This diabolical plan would also add another dilemma for Japanese officials to meet. Such a plan, it becomes obvious, would neutralize the effectiveness of underground industries put there to protect machinery and workers from ordinary surface bombings. It would not take much imagination on the part of the lowliest coolie to visualize himself trapped in the bowels of the earth and doomed to being buried alive by such a man-made earthquake. Add to this localized hysteria the fears of the mass of workers in above-ground industries, workers in shipyards, the fear of the mass of the great hydroelectrical dams turning their floods loose on the countryside, and general tension of their homes tumbling around their heads at any hour, and you have a PW formula for panic hysteria that cannot be duplicated by any type of physical warfare. Psychological warfare panic campaign against Japanese homeland. The purpose: to create a negative flux that is a condition where the people of Japan are turned into a hysterical mob, no longer believing in any leadership from above, but more interested in individual survival than even state survival, which has lost its power of mystic leadership. Our purpose being mainly to break the regimented state pattern and smash it into an individual survival flux. This psychological warfare campaign, of course, should be timed to run concurrently with the intensification of the physical warfare against Japan. As this physical warfare increases in intensity, it will create for us an automatic psychological warfare wedge. We should be ready to take advantage of this to increase the psychological pressure on growing panic temperament created by the intense physical destruction of Japan. Method: this may be accomplished by increasing the pressure on the neutral panic complex of the Japanese people. Already are evident many signs that the frustration ring drawn around the people of Japan is being tightened to the point where something is about to crack. Available historical data reveals Japan as a country of social tensions, and one which has several times in its history violently socially exploded because of these social tensions. Mediums: two outstanding factors have a major historical role in creating social hysteria and panic amongst Japanese. They are fire and earthquake. When these have occurred during times of great economic pressure, there has often followed social chaos. We know now that this economic factor is present. The fire factor is being supplied by our extensive bombing with incendiaries. There now remains but one other factor for us to utilise. This is the earthquake factor. Situation: seismologists reveal Japan to be a geological mine. The evidence of geological maps and the record of seismic disturbances bear witness to the unstable condition of the Earth's interior immediately beneath Japan. Harboured within this interior is a latent force of tremendous destructiveness. When triggered, this latent energy, which has been accumulating over a period of years, is released in a recurrent earth-shaking wave at spaced intervals throughout the history of Japan. This mine has exploded with fierce intensity and shaken surface structures to the ground and cost the lives of millions. Scientists further reveal the plausibility of triggering this earthquake potential by intensified bombings through tests conducted in the physical laboratories of leading universities and institutions. A similarity between the normal triggering forces of nature and those which man can assert is established. These scientists, seismologists and physicists have compiled tables to show the effects of various size bombs on this geological mine, and have determined the distances from the mine within which the explosives would have to be detonated in order to be effective. Impetus is greatly added to the already established scientific plausibility of triggering this earthquake potential by the recent revelation of the atomic bomb. With a manifoldly greater amount of destructive force in a single atomic bomb, the plausibility of triggering the earthquake potential is brought further toward the realm of practicality. This also poses the possibility that the explosive force of an atomic bomb may set up deep within the earthquake blocks a seismic wave, a result of radioactivity set loose. This may expedite the trigger error or by itself increase the external pressures, forcing the blocks to make a sudden adjustment in an attempt to recover their equilibrium. On the basis of the scientific plausibility of triggering this earthquake potential by atomic and large-scale intensified bombing lies the foundation for our psychological plan to combine within the minds of the Japanese the additional fear of earthquakes being caused by the radioactive destructiveness of the atomic bomb. Instruments to be used. Magazine. The groundwork for all the media to be used would be a pseudo-scientific article inserted in a counterfeit Japanese magazine. This article would purport to have originated with Japanese scientists and would contend that the prime purpose of the Allies in further intensifying their bombing is to bring about a calamitous earthquake. The article would then go to raise arguments relative to the feasibility of triggering the home earthquake potential by heavy explosives and especially the new atomic bomb. Further counterfeit articles signed by individual Japanese seismologists in crediting or denying the possibility of realizing this end would keep the fear of earthquakes paramount in the minds of the Japanese people. Leaflets would follow the appearance of the counterfeit articles and would give detailed instructions as to the precautionary measures to be taken in the event that the earthquake does occur. In these leaflets, the current air raid regulations would be revised to incorporate new measures necessitated by the expected earthquake. These leaflets could be distributed in occupied territory by our agents in China or dropped by B-29s. Radio could be used if some method could be found to establish a station on Okinawa which could broadcast by medium wave directly into Japan a series of broadcasts on a band counterfeiting an official Japanese radio broadcast. These programs by indirect subversion would call to the attention of the people of Japan the need for preparing themselves to meet any earthquake which might result from intensive bombing by the Americans. It could also, by indirect subversion, call attention to the danger of underground industries by detailing how Japanese officials are working out plans to safeguard all workers who are detailed to work in these underground plants. Rumours could be circulated to the effect that Americans are using islands off Iwo Jima and Okinawa as providing grounds for this theory. Also, that the recently felt tremors which occur constantly were the direct effect of the last bombing by B-29s. Counterfeit copies of letters alleged to have passed between members of the Imperial Earthquake Committee commenting on the possible effects of heavy bombings on the potential earthquake conditions could be left in strategic places by agents for the ready consumption and distribution by the Japanese people. Strategic goal. If we were once able to create this negative flux, we would then be in the position to channel it into a positive flux. Such a negative flux by a natural reflex always attempts to find a positive hope. This positive hope could be supplied by the appearance of an alleged Free Japan movement. The activities of this group beamed into Japan by medium wave from Okinawa might be the medium for activating the liberal group in Japan, who could then offer a positive force for release from war frustrations.